Paris, the city known for its romance and beauty, became the silent witness of a big secret long buried by one of BTS's members, Kim Taehyung. Behind the glamour of runway lights and camera flashes at the prestigious fashion event he attended, something was hidden that no one ever expected, even by the one he's considered a part of himself, Jungkook. The question now echoes everywhere. What exactly did Taehyung hide from Jungkook? And why did he choose to stay silent for so long? BTS fans have long known the depth of Taehyung and Jungkook's relationship. Not just fellow group members, they have been seen as brothers, even closer than that, two souls who understand each other even without words. But a bitter truth started to surface. In a shocking interview, Jungkook admitted that he just recently learned something he referred to as an important thing about Taehyung. With teary eyes and a hoarse voice, he said, "I just found this out now." A confession that sparked massive emotional reactions, but the spotlight didn't stop at Jungkook. Attention turned to Taehyung in Paris, who, despite seeming calm on the surface, carried unease in silence. In recent days, his behavior raised big questions. He hasn't been as active on social media, his facial expression looks more melancholic, and most notably, he posted a vague sentence on weverse, "I just want someone to truly see me without me having to say anything." To some, it may sound like an ordinary tired statement. But to ARMY who followed their emotional journey, that line feels like a silent scream long held inside. A close source who wished to remain anonymous revealed that the secret Taehyung kept relates to a tough period he went through last year, where he felt pushed aside in some major BTS projects. One of them, a global collaboration project that initially involved all members, later turned into a solo project for some. Taehyung voluntarily stepped back, or so the reports claimed at the time. But now, word is, that decision wasn't fully his own, but due to emotional reasons he couldn't share with anyone, not even Jungkook. He felt that if he told Jungkook, it would distract him from his international solo debut preparations. So, he chose silence. He carried it alone, even when the pressure increased, even when his heart quietly broke. And this is what left Jungkook shaken. Not because he was angry at Taehyung, but because he never realized something this big was hidden by someone so close to him. In a short live broadcast from his LA studio, Jungkook once said, "I should have been more sensitive. I should have known." That simple sentence proves guilt is now eating away at him. This situation made thousands of fans wonder, why did Taehyung choose to hide his pain rather than speak openly to Jungkook? Was his love too deep that he'd rather hurt alone? Or did he feel their relationship was no longer balanced? Some pop culture observers called this an example of emotional miscommunication between two people who are incredibly close. Often, the closer someone is, the greater the expectation that they can read our situation without us having to say anything. And when that fails, the wound left behind cuts much deeper. Many ARMY hope the two members will meet and talk directly. Especially now with Taehyung in Paris and Jungkook in the US, two places physically far apart, but whose emotions are growing closer because of an unavoidable truth. There's speculation that Jungkook is arranging a trip to Paris, though there's been no official confirmation from management. But there's another thing that can't be ignored. In the same interview, Jungkook also mentioned that he rewatched old BTS videos and noticed how Taehyung often smiled when everyone else laughed, but his eyes looked different. He looked like he was joining in the joy, but actually wasn't, said Jungkook. This line feels like a mirror reflecting what no one ever saw before. Will all this lead to a major change in BTS dynamics? No one knows for sure. But clearly, this confession has opened a door to more honest and deeper communication between two friends who've been through so much. ARMY now hopes, not just for their stage unity, but for their emotional well-being as individuals who are also just human. And if Jungkook finally meets Taehyung, maybe what's needed isn't a long explanation or a formal apology, but just one hug. A hug that says, "You're not alone anymore." Now, all we can do is wait, hoping time will reunite two souls once distant, and that from this finally revealed secret, a new understanding will be born. Deeper, more honest, and more human, because sometimes the most painful thing isn't the secret itself, but the reason why it had to be kept. And in this case, Taehyung's reason for hiding it from Jungkook was a love too big and a fear of losing someone he never wanted to disappoint. In the silence that had been maintained for so long, Taehyung wasn't actually trying to move away. He was just trying to protect Jungkook from the harsh reality that he himself was not ready to face. That is what most of the ARMY is now beginning to understand after hearing Jungkook's confession. And when it all opens up, the pain actually moves from Taehyung, who has been harboring, to Jungkook, who now bears the regret of not being present enough. Such feelings cannot be resolved with ordinary words. It takes courage, emotional maturity, and a willingness to look back on the past with clearer eyes. Jungkook also seems to be starting to process all of that. In his latest post on the community platform, he wrote a short sentence. "Sometimes we realize something is too late, but I hope it's not too late to fix everything." That sentence made the ARMY timeline flood with tears. Now the world is waiting. In Paris, Taehyung is probably sitting alone in a hotel room, looking at his phone screen and reading all the news, speculation, and love messages from around the world. And in America, perhaps Jungkook is planning something more than just an apology. Perhaps he wants to act realistically, sincerely. Their meeting could have been a very emotional moment. And when that happens, it's not just about the two BTS members greeting each other again, but about two best friends learning to heal each other. Because in reality, not all wounds have to be covered. Some wounds actually have to be opened so that they can heal together. Perhaps this is the new chapter of their story. Not a stage, not a camera, but a more personal space. And in that space, there were only two voices. One that ended up talking, and one that ended up willing to listen. After the uproar caused by the narrative of Jungkook's confession and the big secret hidden by Taehyung, now is the time to draw a firm line between what goes viral on social media and what actually happened. Undeniably, the article that circulated on various platforms sparked an overwhelming emotional response from ARMY. But it's important to remember, not everything that sounds emotional is a fact. Not everything that goes viral is the truth. The narrative stating that Jungkook recently found out a big truth Taehyung kept is nothing more than unchecked speculation. The quote, "I just found this out now," is taken from unclear context. Until now, there has been no official interview, live stream, or agency statement stating that Jungkook ever said this publicly or to the media. Moreover, information that Taehyung hid his feelings or was under heavy emotional pressure has never been confirmed by any source. While it's true that Taehyung is currently in Paris for a fashion event and Jungkook is active in the United States, there is no valid evidence supporting the claim that either is experiencing emotional tension or estrangement as described. One must understand that BTS members are currently living their individual lives amid military obligations and personal projects. In such a situation, physical distance and different locations are normal and planned, not an indication of a rift. Even in their latest official interviews, both Jungkook and Taehyung have expressed support for each other, promoting solo work and showing no signs of tension. Unfortunately, social media often becomes the breeding ground for misinformation, especially concerning major celebrities with massive fan bases like BTS. Speculations wrapped in emotional narratives and clickbait spread easily, and that's where the danger lies. Content like this can cloud public understanding and create unnecessary tension, both among fans and toward the artists themselves. For example, many fans express sadness, disappointment, and even anger after reading this type of news, even though the story was built without verified sources. Emotional reactions like this are unfair, not only to Jungkook and Taehyung, but to ARMY's own trust in the members. Why does this kind of news go viral? Because narratives about friendship and personal conflict between K-pop idols always attract attention. Add in emotional wording, mystery, and sensitive angles such as Big Secret, Jungkook's confession, or ARMY in tears, and psychologically, it drives massive engagement. This is a clickbait strategy often used by irresponsible media for traffic alone. However, as wise readers and mature fans, we have a responsibility not to believe information without credible sources. We need to develop a habit of verifying news before sharing it, especially when it involves someone's reputation and mental state. In this case, the absence of an official statement from the agency, no video evidence, no direct quote from Jungkook or Taehyung, and no traceable communication confirming conflict should be enough to conclude that this news is unreliable. Furthermore, we must remember that BTS members are human beings. They have private lives, rights to privacy, and emotional boundaries that must be respected. They don't owe the public every detail of their lives, and anything they don't share is not automatically a secret. Taehyung isn't wrong for being less active online. Jungkook isn't negligent for focusing on his US activities. These are just normal life rhythms that in the end, let this incident be a valuable lesson. Loving an artist isn't just about consuming all the information about them, but about protecting their dignity, respecting their privacy, and not believing or spreading things that could hurt them. An emotional story isn't always truthful. And in today's fast-moving world, we must become fans who are not only loyal, but also critical. In conclusion, the story about Taehyung hiding a big secret from Jungkook is not true. It is merely a fictional narrative crafted for attention. No concrete evidence, no official statements, and no confirmations support this story. Jungkook and Taehyung remain individuals who respect and support each other, even if they're on different continents.